And thanks for joining us this afternoon. President Akufo-Addo may be compelled to use commercial flights for all of his foreign travels in the next 4 months, as Joy News is learning that the presidential jet is due for a major repair work in Europe. Now, since 1962, the Republic of Ghana has had at least 4 presidential aircraft. The DH-125, which is used by Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Fokker 28, which was used by General Achampong in 1976. And then we also have the Gulfstream 3, which was purchased in 1998 and sold in 2006, after the then Kufuor administration described it as a flying coffin. Well, this time round, we know that currently, as we speak, in 2008, the Falcon 900 EX Easy aircraft was purchased and has since served at least 2 heads of state, including our incumbent president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But now government is raising concerns that that very aircraft, which we're talking about, is no longer fit for purpose and would have to be flown to France, where it will be undergoing some major repair works until at least October 2022. Here's Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul.
Long-haul journeys, the people of Ghana, that we have advised the president to hold on with that one. But for short-line journey, that's the aircraft uses. So for internal flights to Burkina Faso, to Mali, even to South Africa, which is like 5.5 hours, the president used all this type of jets. Nigeria, everywhere, that's where the president uses. So it is never true the president doesn't use. Always. In Africa, he's always used only.
But in the long term, the approach is to buy another one.
I think that by the time I finish with my consultations, and I believe before the end of the year, I'll come out with what I have consulted everybody and what.
I remember that you said you wanted to build a bipartisan consensus around it.
No. I wanted to finish the consultations and make sure that the people of Ghana tell me that this is what we're all looking for.
Okay.
It's not just bipartisan consensus.
You want to carry Ghanaians along the process?
It is very important that we carry Ghanaians along the process. Protecting the citizens of Ghana is very important for the military. God forbid, if anything happens to the commander-in-chief, the military will be the first group of people to be blamed. We hope nothing will happen. We are sure that nothing will happen. We are doing whatever we need to do to make sure that nothing will happen. But in the interest of the Republic, it is important, as I said before, to give the military what they need to protect you and me, including the president.
Well, so that's the clear indication we're getting from government on this matter, but given the recent controversy surrounding President Akufo-Addo's foreign travels, will the purchase of a new presidential jet be a solution to the challenges that we're facing now? Joining us now is Dr. Emmanuel Bombande, international relations expert, a senior mediation advisor to the United Nations, who also one time served as Ghana's deputy foreign affairs minister. It's such a great time to be talking to you, sir. Now, a lot of views have been expressed, varied ones, of course, about the optimum travel style of presidents from developing countries such as Ghana. But, I mean, speaking from experience, is there generally a standard for presidential travels?
Thank you so much, my good brother, and good afternoon to all your viewers. So, first of all, to respond to your question, internationally, the standard is that the Air Force of each country manages the travel of senior government officials, including the president. And so in many places, we use presidential plane to replace government plane or high-level VIP travel. And this is for a simple reason. It is not just the security of the president, but it's also about providing the president the means and the capability to perform the duties of a head of state, both internally and externally. When I was deputy minister, I traveled with the president then, John Mahama, to N'Djamena, one of my numerous. Now, between Accra and N'Djamena, you don't have commercial routing that can send you and bring you back. The president wanted to be there for a meeting and return to Accra the same day, because the following morning he had a function in Accra. So the idea behind the government plane is you facilitate the travel of your president, not because he's traveling, but because he must travel within the schedules that a head of state must fulfill. So if you bring that back into the context of our conversation, there has been no problem at all whatsoever about facilitating the travel of a president in a presidential jet, both internally and externally. The problem in our context has been the prohibitive and profligate, so to speak, paying for that travel. And you put that at the level of Africa. And so the question then for me is, one, we have made it a problem by making the institution responsible, which is the Ghana Air Force, to be often silent on this matter and bringing it into the domain of politics. And the moment you subject such a conversation into politics, you get a divided opinion. And that's why we always advocate for strong institutions. Let the Ghana Air Force determine how they facilitate the travel of the president, and that determination is then approved by the executive, which is the government in authority each time we are in our democratic dispensation. But when you put it the other way around, when the conversation is led by the politician and the institution responsible is silent, what then happens is, rather than appreciating the full value of how the president should travel, we make it a political issue. And that in itself is a problem.
And you are the expert now, so you'll be able to advise us. Is the idea to have, presidents travel in comfort? What's the ideal situation? I guess that's what a lot of people, and including Ghanaians as well, are not too much educated on when it comes to diplomacy and what the requirements are for a head of state.
The main purpose from country to country, when we now talk, as you asked me, about standard practice, then varies.
Right.
Yesterday, President Joe Biden returned from Asia to Andrews Air Force Base. He was traveling on a Boeing 747. But that is because he is the president of the United States, the wealthiest country in the world, where the Boeing planes are made. We are the Republic of Ghana, highly indebted. So we want our president to travel just like citizens of the United States want their president to travel. But the plane the United States citizens give to their president to travel through their taxpayers' money is in abundance. We don't have that. And that's why the institution then is looking at how our president should travel, not on the basis of comfort, but on the basis of security, expediency, and within time schedules of the president's agenda. And that is why even when you talk about servicing of the plane, some of the servicing is done in the intermediate, sometimes every 6 months, 3 months. But in between, you have a more elaborate overhaul,
Right.
in order to keep the conditions of the plane uppermost in performance.
Well, at least that may not happen anytime soon because we don't have the presidential jet now. We know that it will be flown to France for some repair works, but we know that the alternative has been subject to controversy. The president's choice over the years has been a rented jet. So given the economic times that we find ourselves in, would you advise the president to continue on that tangent?
So my response to you is this. It is not about the renting of the jet. It's about what jet is rented based on our own economic exigencies. Otumfuo Ashantihini just went to Memphis and returned, though in his case, he's not using the taxpayers' money. The jet he used, I don't know whether you saw it, but Ghanaians saw it when he was welcomed back in Kumasi, was fairly a moderate, good jet, but not a luxurious, expensive jet. And nobody has a problem with that because Otumfuo traveled to Memphis to come back and continue with his traditional rule in Asanteman. And Asanteman people have no problem because they can afford a plane that is commensurate with what is possible. Now, my proposal is The issue is not about the rented jet. The issue is how can Ghana continue to provide for the president the facility to travel within the means that we have. And so if I use the example of Otumfuo, I'm simply saying it can be a moderate jet. It can be a smaller jet for him and his very close associates for the purposes of functioning in his duties as president.
Right.
And that is what is happening everywhere.
And that could also include the commercial option of flying in some other commercial flights as well. But there are concerns about the security implications. Wouldn't we have challenges if we allow our president, for instance, to go on commercial flights?
No, but you are right in the option of the commercial flight because the security parameters that are in place for a commercial jet out of Kotoka International Airport will then be, in my view, upgraded for the purposes of the president boarding the plane. The issue is not the security of the aircraft. The issue is making sure that your president boards the aircraft, travels, and when he lands, he is then received and provided with the same security arrangement. Now, interestingly, he did this a few weeks ago. He went on United Airlines directly from Accra to Washington. And presidents have done it throughout. John Kufuor, Atta Mills, John Mahama. So that, for me, is never an issue. But there are also other alternatives that Ghana Air Force, given the parameters as the institution responsible, can explore. For example, when the Falcon executive jet manufacturers are overhauling your plane that will have a long duration, you can negotiate with them for a replacement of the aircraft. But the replacement will be the type of aircraft that you purchase from them. And you can negotiate for that moderate type of aircraft that we are talking about. You can lease a plane that is relatively much cheaper and commensurate with the use of the president within the context of what we are talking about in terms of the institution responsible providing the policy options for the executive to approve. What I think Ghanaians have a problem with, and we should re-emphasize, is that when we have economic difficulties and we are indebted, but then we see the president traveling in a very luxurious jet, it sends the wrong signals. It makes people to feel that the executive is not sensitive about the plight of the people. That is where the problem is, and not how the president travels.
So how about finally solving the problem once and for all? There's the big debate as to whether or not this is the time to purchase a new presidential jet. What's your take on that?
Thank you very much for that question. So it goes back to what the defense minister was talking about. Carrying the people along, being transparent. Being transparent is, for me, absolutely important. That is why in Parliament, the opportunity was missed when the questions that were put were not fully addressed. And then somebody suggested, an honorable member of Parliament suggested that it was a security matter and Ghanaians don't need to know how much is paid for that jet. If you want to carry the people of Ghana along, be transparent with them all along, all the time. And so if the Ghana Air Force is the lead agency and the right consultations are done, and we all agree with the policy priorities for high-level VIP travel, we can then agree within an agreed time frame to purchase a new presidential jet. And this is not going to be out of the ordinary. Senegal is just arranging a replacement of their presidential jet. And I'm talking at the level of Africa. In South Africa, they have different options. Nigeria has up to 9 aircraft for VIP travel. But you see, the people are not completely uncomfortable with it precisely because they know that the planes belong to the government. And when we say government, the problem in Ghana is we look at government to a particular political dispensation in office. When we say government, we're talking about the government of the Republic of Ghana. And presidents will come and go, but the president of the Republic of Ghana would always be there. So that together as a people, we now know that this is important for travel. But let me quickly add something here in a few seconds. Ghana is a significant country with diplomatic weight. And that is why, apart from the discussions we've had so far, there is something about your president flying with the Ghana flag or the coat of arms very, very much visible on your presidential aircraft, because we are a modern democracy in the community of nations. And so our president should be able to arrive at a function, because our Ghana Air Force that we are proud of carried him or her, delivered him for the functions that he was supposed to engage in, and bring him or her back safely to Ghana. That is part of the image of a modern democracy. And we should not subject that to partisan political debate, we should subject it to the collective development of the modern democracy of Ghana.
All right.
And some policymakers have failed in this regard. So when we were arriving in Glasgow, we should arrive in Glasgow with the Republic of Ghana carrying their president through the Ghana Air Force. It adds something to our negotiation power. It makes us to be a voice that refuses to be put off the international radar. So that when it is climate change, when it is terrorism and global security, and your president is sitting in the United Nations and speaking, he's speaking on the authority that within our means, however limited, we too have our weight and our respect, and we're able to move around independently, even if we are also interdependent with other nations of the world.
So we need a jet, right?
We need a jet. The Senegalese government, after consultations, is acquiring the latest new Airbus plane. Now,
all right,
listen to me. He's going to fly to Russia and to Ukraine to articulate the African voice in the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. When he's flying with the Senegalese flag, he's not just flying as the president of Senegal, he's flying as the chairperson of the African Union. It has a significance in the voice of Africa when he's trying to mediate in that conflict. So we need a jet, but we need a jet commensurate with consensus building, commensurate with our economic capacity and capability, and commensurate with how we are building a nation of inclusion, of everybody being part of, rather than some people arguing to make it look like he's more our president than yours. And that is why, whether you like it or not, we will go ahead. And that division has been part of the price we have paid all along up to this point.
Dr. Bombande, I'm grateful that you've been able to spend some time with us here on The Pulse. Thank you.